Today, we have two team members from Project Play here to talk with us. If you haven't heard of this program, its main goal is to decrease the BMI of elementary school students by implementing healthy behaviors, primarily through physical activity. This program works with elementary school students in East County, San Diego. Welcome, Mallory and Maya. So tell me, how will you measure your main goal?
Well, thank you so much for having us here today. So we will measure our main goal by looking at independent and dependent variables. We have three independent variables. The first is our interval variable, which is based on baseline BMI, considering the weight, height, and age of our participants. Our two ordinal variables are participation of students and the involvement and attitudes of our program administrators. Lastly, we have two dependent variables, which focus on the decrease in BMI, which is our nominal variable, and the increase in physical activity, which is our ratio variable.
We will also be using evaluation questions such as how will you apply the skills you learned in this program, what changes have you made in your life as a result of this program, and what impact did participating in this program have on your willingness to perform physical activity.
I think that's a great way to evaluate your program, but I'm curious about your health outcomes and conceptual model. Tell me more.
Our conceptual model is based on theory plan behavior since our program goal is aimed at changing the behaviors of our target population.
Great. Are there any specific factors you have to take into account?
Yes. We need to take into account our target population's attitudes towards a healthy lifestyle and the student's social and cultural norms. The behaviors based on those factors could be changed once the target population gains knowledge of healthy eating habits and understands the importance of physical activity.
Also, our program aims to implement self-efficacy to have an active, healthy lifestyle, which in the end, we hope to achieve our program outcome of an overall healthy lifestyle change in our target population.
And what about the health outcomes?
So for our health outcomes, we have specified two outcomes on our program. They are to prevent the likelihood of obesity later on in life in the children of East County by increasing physical activity, and also to improve the knowledge and behavior of healthy eating habits among children.
So how did you evaluate the effectiveness of your program? Like, what kind of evaluation model did you use?
For our research design, we used an experimental design, specifically using the randomized control trial method because we randomized at an institutional level and did not assess each individual student.
How many schools were involved in this study?
So we had 6 elementary schools in East County, San Diego that were enrolled in our program. Our experimental group consisted of 250 students from kindergarten to 5th grade from 3 elementary schools in East County, and our control group was with the other 250 students from kindergarten to 5th grade in the remaining 3 elementary schools that did not receive the intervention.
So when did this program start?
The program began at the start of the academic year, and we recorded baseline by assessing the students' BMIs as well as their physical activity.
Okay, so how long did it last?
Our intervention took place over 8 months. Our mid-intervention measurement was taken at 4 months to assess any differences in BMI and physical activity at the time. Our post-measurement was taken 1 week after the end of the intervention to make our final assessment.
Now that we have a better understanding of Project Play, we also brought in one of the program data analysts, Maureen, to discuss the results and conclusion of our program.
Thank you for having me. So we actually used 3 different types of analyses, univariate, bivariate, and multivariate analyses. For our univariate analysis, we used frequency count to find the mean minutes of exercise per week the students were engaged in. The graphs you see now compare the mean minutes of exercise between the experimental and control schools. It is clear that the students involved in Project Play exercise a lot more than students not receiving the intervention. Another univariate analysis we used was a summary count of the total number of students involved in our experimental and control schools.
So you mentioned you also use bivariate analysis. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, sure. So for our bivariate analysis, we use t-tests to analyze the differences between the average % decrease in BMI between the control and experimental schools. So the graphs you see now show the % decrease in BMI between the schools receiving the intervention and the schools not receiving the intervention. The data shows that the experimental schools had a higher % decrease in BMI. The graphs show that the experimental schools had a higher mean minutes of exercise per week in the control schools. We will discuss the results in a bit.
Great. So were you able to use multivariate analysis as well?
Yes, our multivariate analysis, we used multiple regression to see if the differences between average minutes of exercise and a decrease in BMI were dependent upon grade level. Multiple regression was also used to see if the students who participated in extracurricular sports show an increase in overall minutes of exercise and a more significant decrease in BMI. And we'll talk about the results of those in a bit as well.
Okay, great. So what are the end results of your program?
So we had quite a few of those. So taking extracurricular sports into account, students who participated in the program engaged in an average of 514.6 minutes of exercise per week. Students in the control schools participated in an average of 395.8 minutes of exercise per week. Another finding was that students in the experimental schools experienced a lower average BMI at the end of the program than those in the control schools. We also found that students in the experimental schools engaged in more physical activity per week, measured in minutes of course, than those in the control schools. And then the difference between average minutes of exercise and a decrease in BMI was not dependent upon grade level of the participants, which was quite interesting. And students who participated in extracurricular sports and participated in the program as well had a more significant decrease in BMI and participated in a higher average amount of physical activity per week in minutes, obviously due to the fact that we implemented 3 10-minute daily exercises. And our final finding, which was one of the most important ones actually, was that students who participated in Project Play had a greater decrease in BMI than students in the control schools, which is quite important.
Great findings. So it seems like the program was really successful. Is there any other final statements that you wanted to make about the program?
Yeah, so to conclude everything we've talked about today, Project Play was actually very effective in increasing the average amount of physical activity among elementary school students in East County, as well as decreasing the average BMI within each grade level. And from these results, it can be inferred that BMI is influenced by the amount of exercise that elementary school students engage in per week and over their entire life.
And today we have 2 special guests who have firsthand experience with Project Play. We welcome Ellie and Lulu. Hi guys.
Hi.
Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh good. What was your favorite part?
Well, my favorite part was when we danced.
You like dancing? Oh, very
My
nice.
favorite part was when we got to take breaks and play during class.
Oh, that must have been a good time. So what did you learn from the program?
We learned that you have to exercise 60 minutes every day. Exercise can be very fun.
Great. Thank you guys so much for coming in.